Hello, and welcome to Bodhran Basics. I'm Matt DeBlas, and today we're going to talk a little bit about electrical tape, and we're going to try taping a drum head. Now, since I've got my head with shack drum, I've been using it pretty much exclusively for playing out, and my other drum has been kind of sitting, and because I live in an attic, it gets pretty hot up here, and the tape on this head started to slip and come loose. So we're going to take off the old tape and put on some new tape. And it's not super complicated, it's basically like what it looks like. But let's get started. First step is going to be peeling off the old here. Now, the maker of this drum used a wide electrical tape, which I don't have. So I've got some relatively narrow tape. Step one, peeling off the old tape. Yeah. And there we go. It's all naked. Here there's a lot of kind of overtony rings. It doesn't actually sound awful, but it does have a little more ring to it, a little harder to control overtones. So now for the tape. So get the tape warmed up to, body temperature or so. And then we're gonna start. You can see on the drum now the line where the old tape was. We're going to use that as our marker. What we're going to do, start the tape, if I can start the tape, like so. And I am going to take my wee little scissors here. Ignore the shouting, that's my housemates. Yeah, I live in my apartment's hard to be. You find quiet time. And just give it a little angle cut so you don't have a corner sticking out like that. And then we're gonna pick a spot along the edge and start taping. And what you're gonna do is go a little bit at a time and pulling it tight but not stretching it, smoothing it as you go. It doesn't have to be perfectly straight, but the straighter it is, the better. Now, as you go around, you're going to try to smooth out any wrinkles and bubbles that you can. Again, perfection isn't our goal here, but close as we can to it. We don't want any major irregularities. What the tape does here is it does what's called edge loading, where it creates a bit of weight on the drum near the edge of the resonating surface and just dampens some of the vibrations and helps control, I'm going to follow that a little bit better, some of the overtones. And when you're playing with these contemporary style drums with the deeper bodies, and the smaller heads with generally looser tension than the variable tension, you kind of, the sound that's associated with them is less ringy and more muted, and because they tend to be close mic too, the microphones make them a little more sensitive to picking up some of the excessive noise. So it's less about volume than having particular sound. You can play these drums with the edges untaped. There's no law against it. All right, now we've made our first pass. I'm going to start going overlapping a bit now here. You can see this portion here actually overlaps the rim of the drum, comes around that corner a little bit. Now there are, some people start from the edge and work in, some start here and work out. I like to start from the center and work out. But if there's a particular way that the maker of your drum recommends, do that. Because, all the yelling, sorry about that if you can hear that. Because they made the drum a certain way. And if the drum is sold untaped, taping it might not necessarily make the sound better. For example, I had a Brendan Waite drum which came untaped, and I just as an experiment decided to try taping it up, and it didn't actually sound all that different at all. A lot of the older, more traditional ones have thicker skins, and more kind of muting in the design, and taping them doesn't really help. So, and I've met people who like to play this style of drum and play them untaped. It is personal preference, and if anybody tells you one way or the other is better, they're probably not someone you need to be listening to. Because there are different reasons to do it for different drums. Most obviously, this is a common thing on this style of drum, the deep shell drum, in the contemporary style, where it's not as common on the traditional ones. And that's just because of the tonal characteristics we're looking for. I'm just talking a lot while I do this because this takes a while. So now we've made our way all the way around twice, past the edge of the head, and now I'm just going down the side. It gets a little easier because I'm just following the natural contour, like so. Again, pulling the tape tight, but trying not to stretch it per se. Keeping it as even as I can. Now, when my manufacturer had made the drum, they'd put the tape on and then the trim over it, so the tape was actually under the trim a bit. I'm not going to peel the trim off and start over. I'm just going to go right up to the edge and try to get it as flush as I can. Maybe tuck it in a bit here if I can, like so. Now I'm just going to take my wee little scissors here and snip this off nice and straight as I can at a little bit of an angle. And then I'm going to flatten it down and call it a day. And it is not perfect, but it's pretty good. I think it'll do for now on my number 2 drum. Where's my tipper? And now the sound difference. I don't know if the tone difference comes through on the thing there, but it's definitely noticeable here on my end. So yeah. So the tape on your drum will fall off eventually. It's just the way it works. Every now and then it'll come off your drum and you'll have to replace it or have it replaced. And it's one of those things that most people should be able to do if you feel a little handy at all. And the nice thing is, like, if you mess it up, you just peel it off and go again. So you're not going to damage your drum if you don't get it totally straight. So it's definitely one of the things that you should be willing to try yourself when you feel the need, when it starts getting a little ratty or peeling up. You know, if you can find the slightly wider stuff, and I recommend using good quality, like a name brand electrical tape. The cheaper stuff doesn't stick as well and doesn't have as much elasticity to it, and will tend to peel and slip more. So there you go, taping your Bodhran.